You are listening to
Marty and the Breaux.
yeah, no, and I remember that you and I were talking one time about some thoughts you were giving to what it would have been like to put the golden rule down on paper like that and distribute it. And you were thinking about maybe at that point in time, that was something that kind of needed to be said. Now we think about okay, but
Oh yeah.
why would almost like why would you even need to say that? Like treat others like you want to be treated.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because
Yeah, I actually had that.
maybe at that point in time,
Well, it was an epiphany I had. Like, so I think that this gets into a deeper point. We're getting off in the weeds. We get remind us to come back. Right? Remind us to shoot back in a second. Religion. But so
Yeah.
this goes into a little bit of philosophy. I told you I was tripping. Balls on psilocybin. We should legalize, tax regulate all drugs, by the way. But yeah, tripping balls on some shrooms, and I had come to the epiphany of. I had kept having epiphanies as I was tripping, but as I was having these epiphanies, there's something else in the back of my mind that was like, duh, of course we know that. Saying like in myself, I was doing that to myself, but in that moment of epiphany, I was like, well, yeah, it is a duh, but nah, but it's not duh though, because there was a point in time where this wasn't obvious, there were literal, philosophers pondering deep about these ideas and themes to figure out why should you treat people the way you want to be treated, right? That wasn't common knowledge at one point. That was something we all had, we had to, as a society, kind of come to and agree to, right?
Yeah, because
evidently,
evidently it ended up as something that some people thought needed to be taught. To people.
Well, it had to.
And,
No,
and
for sure.
and it attributed to a sky god. It was so important.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and I think exactly. I think that's I think it's that we're getting more into the realm of philosophy, and I think right now a lot of the issues we're having, especially with like. Yeah, I think a lot of those that specific is going into like why I think religion is so why everything's nobody takes anything those things like treat people the way you want to be treated. It's almost like since you teach it to kids, it doesn't hold as much weight as it really should be. It's a lot deeper than it's something that should be taken a lot more serious, but because it's just such a throwaway idea of like duh, yeah, of course,
Yeah, imagine how much it's mixed in to the stuff about Jesus walking on water and Jesus healing the sick and all those other things and all the other stories of the Bible.
And that's my issue with it. Exactly.
That's that whole thing about some parts of it are really true and valuable, and then some parts of it are nonsense. And
it's all metaphor, right? And in my opinion, like, even if let's say God is real, that's why I love giving people the argument. Yeah, God of the Bible is real. God of the Bible is real. Okay, fine. I think even if he is real, let's say everything in the Bible happened the way they say it happened in the Bible. Let's say all that should happen. Even still, right now, if you look around at the real world around you, God don't intervene. You know what I'm saying? Right now, at least. And whereas I could say that, like, I think it's arrogant for people to say, like, they talk about, blessings and stuff. Excuse me. I don't think God blesses people in the sense that you would think, because why would it's just arrogant to say, oh, I'm blessed, God has favor looking down on me. And it's like, okay, you're blessed and highly favored while he's letting while kids are being born of cancer, suffering every day. You know what I'm saying? My God, the God, if there is a God, the God I believe exists, would never saying he would never let anything like that happen. That doesn't make logical sense.
Yeah. There's something about the model of the world that is presented when you think about Christianity and God and other religions too. They sort of give you this idea of how the world works in a big macro picture. And when you look at when you look at the world through your own eyes, it doesn't start to match up very well with that model, because you start to have those questions like what you're talking about. But if you say, well, maybe that's not the right model we should be talking about, maybe there's another model that fits better to what we see. And that's where, if there is any invisible force, like in the non-material, everyday world of tables and chairs,
metaphysical.
If there's other forces at work, which, by the way, we know that there are, because we can see them with instruments that are more sensitive to those spectrums.
Yeah,
we can see them. We can see an awful lot with instruments that are beyond our everyday ability to sense things, particles, microscopic particles, wavelengths, all that stuff. So obviously there's no question about there being an entire spectrum of life, reality, that's just not a part of our everyday existence.
Agreed.
Okay, so we've got that right there, and the nature's model, the natural model of to explain the world is a much better fit to what we see, because then when we talk about how populations are decimated by disaster, or there's disease that comes across a population, or there's an invasive species, you see all these natural forces at work that are causing death and destruction.
Yeah.
So when we think about human death and destruction, if you put it in the context of the greater arc of nature, then the model that nature is God seems to be a much better fit than any type of Christian God in terms of how it matches up to our everyday experiences.
Agreed. Yo, you like what you just saw? Make sure you like, share, subscribe so the algorithms can algorithm or whatever sorcery they do. Follow us on our socials, links all down in the description, and let's keep rocking.